Now I gotta ride or die.
So guys, welcome back to the channel. A slightly different video to the normal ones that I've been putting out at the moment. We're going back to the old school. So this behind me is a 2019 Hyundai Kona. Now this is a car that I've actually rented through Enterprise for, I think it was £110 for 2 days. And I'm actually going to be using this to go and collect my Audi RS3 from Leeds tomorrow morning. But today we're going to take this thing out because although I didn't actually physically pick this car, it's one of those things that I think is easy to get into for families. It would be something relatively reliable for someone that needs to do the school run, go to the shops and that. So we're going to do a review on this thing from my perspective, a car enthusiast that maybe needs something to finance that's brand new to just get their kids to school and go to the shops. So we're going to see if this car is slightly worthy of being on your driveway. It does look quite cool, but we're going to start with a walk around because we need to have a look at this thing. We need to see what it's really like. Now please leave all of the comments below as to what you actually think of this car. Is it cool? I mean, it does look slightly cool, but if you had an RX-7 or your 106 GTI Series 1 or whatever, and you needed something for the missus to drive around in that has a warranty, has brand new tyres, all that sort of good stuff. I understand that the used market is fantastic. I love used cars. I would probably never buy a brand new car like this, but it's always nice to drive one, and it's always nice to experience it with people, especially on my channel. So 2019 on the 69 plate, we have some interesting features. This is, I believe, to be ducting for aero, but it actually has a cutout. Look at that. Genuine cutout. That's performance-based aerodynamics on the front of this Hyundai. We have this slightly meshed grille. There is this grille here, but it is completely blocked off, so that is only to make it look good. Talking about it looking good, it does actually look rather brutish from the front end. I do like the lights coming up here. I do like the large light down here. It has reminiscence of the Duke shape, I think, with the lights up there, with a bigger light there, and it actually has these lights down here, believed to be fog lights. Has a little grille at the bottom as well, but I think the front end doesn't look too bad. We'll come round the side. It has a lot of plastic to make it look a little bit more jacked up, a little bit more off-road. We have tyres and black plastic down there, so if you did go up a curb and, you know, accidentally scratch the bottom of it, you're not really going to notice, which is quite good. It has this plastic arch at the back, so if you do scrape something, none of the paint is going to come off. Again, from a family point of view, if you are in a car park and a trolley goes past that part of the car, it's not going to do any major damage. The rear lights look quite cool with the lighting down there in the plastic bumper. No exhaust exit to see whatsoever. Interestingly enough, the eye has gone already. I hope that does not speak volumes to the reliability on one of these. Again, if you do have one of these or know of the previous generation, leave a comment below for other people that may want to know. Again, the Kona badging just there, very cool. It has this, I actually quite like this part. It's the spoiler, but it has like side bits that have got like streamlined aerodynamic cuts in them. Pretty cool. Slight roof rack. I can only assume that you're able to put roof bars on pretty easy. Let's have a look at the boot as well, because as a family, you're gonna want to know what the boot size is like. Pretty sizable with a nice bit of separate boot space in there. Nice little cubby hole. No cigarette lighter in the back though. It looks. No cigarette lighter in the back, which is a shame. We'll come into the driver's seat, and styling isn't its massive quirk, I don't think, here. Laid out pretty well. We will jump right into the car. So it actually has the lane assist here to tell you that you're going over white lines. You have buttons on the steering wheel, pretty self-explanatory for a new car these days. Big screen up here and USB aux, all that sort of good stuff down here. Got another USB there as well. Pretty cool. And this is the 6-speed model as well. We will get this thing on the road in a minute, see what it's really like. Got a nice little cubby hole there underneath the armrest, 2 cup holders, a cup holder in the door, a cup holder over there, sunglasses thingy there, not bad. Unfortunately though, as a car reviewer, I would say it's very, very cheap in here. I think all the plastics feel very cheap, very, I wouldn't say they're easy to scratch or anything. I think they will last, but they do feel very cheap. The interior, everything that you don't feel, I think, feels quite cheap. This feels quite nice with the leather on the steering wheel, and the gear knob feels quite good, but everything else, like up here, it feels a little bit plasticky, a little bit cheap. Also, the seats do as well. They're slightly bolstered, airbags in them, good for crash protection and all that sort of stuff, but they do feel very cheap when you're sat in the car. So coming under the engine bay, we have a 1 litre petrol, 120 brake horsepower turbo GDI engine. Yeah, 120 brake horsepower in this. It retains apparently 46 mpg as per the Carwow website, which I'm ripping everything off at the moment. The 0 to 60, are you ready? To break some ground, 12 seconds you're going to get from this. So not the fastest thing in the world, but road tax £215 a year, which I thought was a little bit more than I was expecting. I thought it would be around £30 a year for tax. So very interesting thoughts there. But yeah, as engine bays go, you could probably get another one in here quite easily. There's a lot of exposed wires and stuff that I could quite easily snip. Build quality of the engine bay, not too bad, looks pretty good. I don't know about the longevity, but 120 horsepower isn't too bad, but it is in rather a large car. So it's a little higher car that I've got for the next 2 days. Slightly interesting, I suppose, with the way it looks, but we'll get it on the road, see what it's actually like, see how it drives, because I like driving, so I want to know how it drives. I'm not expecting miracles out of any of this, but let's go see what it's like. Right, so jumping in the Hyundai Kona. Sorry about all this, we'll just turn this down. It is incredibly hot today. This one has 7,900 miles on it, so not too bad. Literally can't hear anything. That 1 litre, when I was young, right, I'm going to tell you this now. When I was young, I had a Vauxhall Corsa. I know, right, sorry about that, bringing it up again, but it did a little rattle in the chain on the 1 litre. It had about 30-odd thousand miles on it when I bought it. This is doing that now at 7,986 miles. I don't think that's a bad thing. It might be a bad thing, but I do hear it when it starts up. The chain rattles. I'm assuming this is chain driven. I might be completely lying. This might not be chain driven whatsoever, but it is definitely making the same sound. Like the oil hasn't got to the top of the engine yet when you start it. Anyway, it has exactly 344 miles in it, and it is just slightly over the 3/4 mark. So very high petrol range on this. Now, one thing to point out, and this is very interesting, we're about to go past it. This is a Citroen Cactus, right here. I hope you guys can see that, but a Citroen Cactus, right here. The front end looks identical to this one, it's just slightly different. So you've got the highlights, you've got the main lights down. I think it's a general thing at the moment to have that sort of style look in these mid-size SUVs. And you know, we're gonna go past it again. What's this one here? As FYD is actually right next to a Citroen garage. This is a Citroen Aircross SUV. That is literally this with a Citroen badge. Looks identical. That one is a 3008 Peugeot. Sort of the same look. So yeah, I don't think I'm really driving anything that is going to blow my socks off, or anything that is really going to be that different to what you'll be able to find anywhere else, because at the end of the day, these cars are very similar these days. All of this sort of mid-sized SUV crossover aircross things are pretty much similar. It's whether you can get a good finance deal on them, if I'm quite honest. If you could put £1,000 down on this, have a balloon payment in the end, and it's £150 a month, then if you had a family and if you have a sensible income, that does not seem too bad. If you do want something to just drive around in to get your kids to school, I understand it for that. I understand there will be people in the comment section that will not understand why I'm driving this and why I'm even making this video, and I get that. But there is the select few out there that might go, yes, Jamie, I understand what you're doing here, and I understand that there is normal people in the world that do need normal cars sometimes. So it's always nice to jump in something relatively normal and new. Now, first things first, driving position, not too bad. You can whack it right well, I'm going to say right down, but that's about as far down as we can go. So not too bad. I will bring this seat forward a little bit. Dash layout when you're driving, not too bad. The screen does look like something from the older 2005 Lexus I used to own, GS300 shout out. It has that sort of plasticiness that the Lexus didn't have, but this is, I don't know, it looks very classic, but not in a good way. It looks slightly cheap, I think the word is. Not in a bad way. I understand this car is very cheap. It is, you know, I think the CarWow website, it was about £16,500. Shout out CarWow for your expert knowledge as usual. I think the Hyundai website said around 18 to 18.5 on one of these. So the 1 litre engine, 3,000 RPM, foot to the floor. I'm gonna say it's okay for town driving. I've got to take this on the motorway tomorrow, and you know, at that point I won't be videoing, but I'll get a true gist as to how well this thing actually picks up. But a 1 litre on the motorway isn't going to do this car a lot of justice. It has the capabilities of a city car. I think the word that I'm looking for is that's what this is. You're not trying to make it anything more than a city car, than a go to school, go to the shops sort of car. You're not going to be doing massive journeys in this, in my opinion. You would buy something with a slightly bigger diesel engine, maybe with an automatic gearbox, all that sort of good stuff. It does have stop start though, which is good. I think most new cars do have stop start, and it works pretty well. It doesn't coast at all. When I'm driving at the moment, it isn't coasting and turning off, which is quite nice. It has the Bluetooth up front. Sound system is okay for a, you know, relatively cheap to build Hyundai, although I must admit, and I know I'm not trying to be horrible about Hyundais or anything, but this is actually the first new age Hyundai I've driven, and I haven't thought that's a Hyundai, because it doesn't feel like one. It feels quite well put together. Yes, the exterior and interior are slightly cheap in certain ways. I think the interior was a lot cheaper than I was expecting, but that's what you get for these sort of cheapish new cars. I think it's got the longevity to have a good life if you were to actually physically, not necessarily buy one, but go and finance it. You could have this for a fair few years. It will depreciate like a stone. You will come out the other side probably in negative equity, in my opinion. It's something that I like to talk about on the channel especially, is that if you're actually going to finance one of these, remember that once you're financed it, all that money's gone. You're not going to get it back, and that's okay for some people. For me, buying and selling cars in the past, and having old cars that go up and having new cars that go down, I've felt both sides of the panel, and I would probably never get into something like this. I'd go and buy a cheaper luxury car that's, you know, around 18 to 20 grand, and I'd do it that way, because if I was going to depreciate on that car, I wouldn't mind, because it was silly money to start with, whereas this is brand new, and when you drive it off the forecourt, it's worth less money. Don't get me wrong, that should not deter you to go and buy one of these. It should not deter, you know, Hyundai forever giving me any press cars, but it is just my general emphasis on brand new cars. But I like the used car market. I like old cars, so it's always a bit funny for me to jump in something like this that is brand new, does depreciate very quickly. There's not a lot of resale value on this car whatsoever. So connectability on your phone, you do have the Apple CarPlay, which is a very good thing. I do like the Apple CarPlay, so you can show all your screen and all that. And yeah, road noise, not bad. Very impressive considering it is a funny shape. This, it's sort of bricky but not too bricky. It's high off the ground, so it's not, you know, aerodynamic in that sense. Yeah, it's a little car that you could jump in and enjoy. This could be up there, but I think the people that are buying one of these are just going to buy one. You're not going to look at any other bigger SUVs. You're not going to look at a smaller compact car. You're going to go and buy this because at the end of the day, this is what you need. Like the Nissan Jukes out there, like the Citroen Aircross SUV thing that I just looked at. Those cars are in the same market as each other. I feel that they're bought and you would just walk in and buy one. You wouldn't be going from dealership to dealership trying to find the best version of the mid-side SUV that you would be after. But as a little car that you could jump in, enjoy, to the point where you're just cruising around, going to the shops, going here, there and everywhere. This makes sense to me. I understand people want new cars. I understand people want the used car market. I'm a used car sort of person. For this money, for 18 grand, I'd probably go and buy either core, what would I buy for 18 grand? I would buy, you could get a lovely Porsche Cayenne for that money. I understand it's going to be more to run and all this sort of stuff, but it says Porsche on the front. You could buy various mid-size SUVs. I think that is more of a full-size SUV, but you could buy a lot of car for this money. So that would always mean that I would go somewhere else, but it's nice to experience that for people out there that are wanting one of these, that want a car that does 40 mpg around town, which is what it's telling me right now. I completely get this. I get it as a car. I see them all the time. This will outsell any old crappy Porsche Cayenne that I would ever buy, and I understand it for that. So if you're after one, maybe this is one to look at. I personally would probably go for a Ford Kuga, maybe a little bit better inside. Don't really know, never driven one, but they seem a little bit nicer, I think, from the visual look of me actually looking inside one of those. Second gear. 40. Yeah, it's not going to rip your face off, and I understand it for that. It is a grocery getter. But yeah, cool car. If you do want one, head over to Hyundai's website, tell them I sent you. They might look at this at someday and give me an i30 or something. That'd be quite nice, wouldn't it? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you did like this sort of video, please let me know in the comments below. We can grab other cars like this. We can go and see what they're like. We can pitch them against each other. We could go and enjoy them. We could slag them off. It's completely up to you guys. Just let me know what you think of this car below. Would you ever buy one? I wouldn't, if I'm honest. I'm going to say that now. Not a negative person, but I would tell you guys the truth. Very transparent on this channel, as I keep saying, and I would probably go for something older, more luxury based if I wanted something larger and something that's already depreciated, so it would slightly hold its money a little bit more, maybe lose a bit, but not as much as this will. But reliability will be compromised in an older, bigger car. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you on the next one.